I'm going to test from about right there to about right there. I'm going to put some wood bleach on this and see how the wood bleach does. I'm going to do it tonight because I want to come back tomorrow and maybe use this over that whole area over there. Okay, so we're going to do 1/3 a cup of hot water. It comes in 12 ounces per gallon, which if my calculations are correct, that turns out to be 1.5 teaspoons. That's all properly mixed. That's way too more than I'm going to need for this, but that was about the smallest I could come up with where I could accurately measure it. So I'll do this half. And they say you leave this stuff on there for 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to use the sprayer to put it on. Got it wet. Here's a dividing line, should be able to tell. And so, checking the clock, it is 8:51. Okay, so it's been on there for about 12 minutes. And time to rinse it off. At first glance, looks like it dyed it, or brightened it, bleached it, or whatever the word is, pretty good. We'll back tomorrow to check that, to check and see how it did. Okay, so here's the next day, about 13 hours later. Board is dried, and I put the brightener on from about here to about here. Don't know if it's showing up on the camera or not, but it is a little bit lighter here than from here to here. So basically, I tested the sodium percarbonate from there to there the other day, and that's where I scrubbed it. And then that was my test area where I was going to do half of that with the brightener. And it looks like it did okay. This is what it looks like over there today. And indeed, my second run at this worked great. See all those black marks that were there? Still a little bit damp. Actually very damp. But you can also see, like on those edges over there. The second run I made at those cleaned all those black spots up. Got a board there that's probably got a huge issue with it. But I guess what I should do, some of the experts have said you want to put the brightener on it. Some of them say you clean that and then while it's still soaking wet you put the stuff on. And make my stuff up and do this. Make it all kind of look like that. So the first thing I'll do is make sure the sprayer is going to cooperate before I mix up my stuff. And indeed, we've got a good spray on that. This needs hot water to mix it. That's what the stuff looks like. Can you see that in just a crystalline powder? And everybody know how to make a funnel. Just get a piece of the newspaper, fold it up correctly, stick it in, and I'm going to dump this stuff in here. 12 ounces for 1 gallon. I have all the stuff in there. What I'm going to do is go fill this up inside with hot water. You never want to mix in your sprayer. You want to make sure it's all, there's no particles. Put a strainer in. Then just dump the acid in. Sure enough, there's some junk in the bottom of that, so I'm glad I have the strainers. These are a good idea. Oh yeah, for sure. See the strainer caught see the particles? So it's it is time to get busy. Face mask, put on my glasses. Springer's pumped up. And then just do it. Yeah. See what I'm doing? I don't need to waste the film on that. Okay, it's on there cooking. Funny enough, I actually did step in it, and then when I stepped on my new deck here, it made footprints. So I had to be careful about that. But I used almost all of the stuff. Now I'm just debating if I should scrub it a little bit, or if I should just let it do its thing and then wash it off. I think I'll just let it do its thing and then wash it off. So we'll let it cook for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and I'll keep it wet with the excess I have. And it looks like it's lightening it up. Of course it's wet, so it's gonna look a little dark. And it's 30 past the hour. It's been on there for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and spray the rest of the stuff on, and I'll be back. And of course, you want to clean out your sprayer, and that's, you know, put the hose into it several times and then pump it up. And what I do is then just put it on automatic flow. I don't know if you can see that flowing down there or not, and let it just run a whole thing of clean water through it. Just keep pumping that up. Okay, let me just keep doing that. And done. I rinsed the heck out of it. I mean, I really rinsed the heck out of it. I guess I rinsed it for 20 minutes based on those gongs going off over there. Top of the hour. I'm going to have to replace one board here. But that's what it looks like right after the spray. Still moist, a little bit damp, but look at that. That cleaned up nicely. I'm going to spray it down with the hose one more time. So I imagine if any experts out there or people are paying extra close attention as I've been doing this work here, probably have noticed that these boards weren't battened down. Or maybe you wonder what I was going to do with that really bad board here and why it wasn't battened down, and the one next to it. Well, I don't think I'm going to keep the one next to it, but I went out and bought a new 16-foot board for this, and I decided that when I put my foot on that right there, that is weak, so I'm going to replace that board with this 16-footer right there. So I bought two 16-footers. I'm going to need just about 12 feet for that. And the part I cut off of that, just a piece, I'm going to fill in this little hole over here. So, got to cut that angle again. This ought to be pretty simple work. Just pulling up that board and put a new one in, and let's just go to town. So this is going to be the beauty of using screws to build a deck, to back those screws out. Here's the screws that are coming out of there, kind of rusty, and here's what I'm putting in there, these trio screws. Longer, will never rust. But I'm just glad that I didn't hammer this deck together. Got my knee pads on and just boards like this, they always tend to have a crown, meaning the board's going to bow at one end or another. And if one side of the board is not particularly, of course, you know, if one side of the board is really ugly, you want to go with the good looking side, but if they're both pretty good, you want the roll to be at the top so when the water hits on it, it rolls off. So let me screw this on. The idea with the trio screw is it has a, I don't know if you can see that, a boring bit on one side, and then it has screws that go into the wood and then screws that hold down the top plank. But the boring bit means you do not have to do anchor holes or pilot holes. It just goes in just that easy. So I'm done. I did it. I put this new board in here. Looks great. Cut and replace that bad board that was there. Have a great angle on that. And I put my board over here. Put some supports below it, so it's good.